Hello and welcome, my friends. This video is entitled In the Beginning, and I wanted to address this because, as you may have noticed, there's a lot of newly awakened people out there, which I think is awesome. The other thing is there's also a lot of information for those people, some of which may be very helpful, some may not. My concern is that I see a lot of people reaching outside of themselves to try to dig deeper and expand their consciousness, when the bottom line is you're going to end up just turning around and coming back within yourself. So I wanted to talk a little about the process of that and what newly awakened people can experience. And you viewers who have been with me for some time, who are in the process of expanding your consciousness, any help that you can post in comment boxes would be really useful as well. My name is Paul, and this is Path of Ascension. So what happened for you newly awakened people? I mean, you read something or you heard something, it resonated with you. Somewhere in there you recognized, yeah, this life that I've been leading and all this guilt and all this stuff that I'm carrying around, there can't be a good reason for this. There's got to be something else. And you saw it somewhere. And it might have been walking in a forest, or it might have been just looking at an animal, or getting focused on something really intently. Or it could be a video you watched, or someone said something that just triggered something in you. And once you've recognized that, very, very difficult to go back, because what it does is it awakens your curiosity. And now you want to know more. Now you want to dig deeper. And let's face it, the internet is full of information on this topic. I mean, I've got tons of videos. There's videos and lectures and workshops and all kinds of things out there. And for me, when I look back at my newly awakened time, it was very confusing. And I know I've worked through a lot of things, and probably the most important concept was I was still, because I'd grown up this way, looking outside of myself for information and for help. Now, this is not to say that you might not get help. You probably will. I have guides and counselors that help me. I help people on my website. But what I'm going to tell you right now is none of that is necessary. It helps to move along quickly, and it helps to, undo some of the knots that you get tied up in. But in fact, the work is going to be done by you, yourself, and probably the basis of that will be meditation. So why meditation? I mean, just about every spiritual site that you visit will suggest meditation in one form or another. And the reason is because in our daily lives, there's so much going on, and so many things that you have to do and things that you think about. And there's only one way to set that all aside, and that's to sit, and to sit quietly. And when you start sitting quietly and focusing on one thing, all these things that are in front of you just start to dissipate. When they do, you can hear your true voice, that truth that is you. That's only found when you get quiet, until the point where you're so versed in it and you're so used to it, and you know that center of yourself, where you carry that out into the world. And all of a sudden, all these thoughts that were troubling you before, they just become nothing. You can think of them, let them go. Think of something else, let it go. And you start focusing on the stuff that's really important to you. Not the you that's in here, the you that's in here. So another huge thing that happens when you first awaken is all of a sudden you start seeing things a lot differently. And now you're seeing signs, and you're seeing numbers, and you're getting messages that you had not ever noticed before. Now, life is going on normally as it always has. The only difference is now your perspective has changed, and stuff that you ignored before all of a sudden is speaking to you pretty loudly. This is a good thing, because one of the hang-ups of living a 3D life is that you are so conditioned to ignore so many things that a lot of your appreciation of what you have in your life gets dissipated. A lot of your relationships have trouble with them because everybody's dealing from a 3D ego point of view. Well, all of a sudden, you have the potential of being free from all this. So what you're looking at, it seems astounding, but it was always there. You're just looking at it now from a new perspective. You know, when you're newly awakened, a lot of things really, your eyes are open to a lot of things, but it also really can rock your world. I mean, one of the big things for me was my belief systems. I mean, you've believed so many things in your life that you come to realize inside yourself that were not true. So now you have to let go of those beliefs, and that's not always as easy as it seems. It may be the religion that you grew up with, or the religion that you chose to participate in as an adult. Some of it may resonate still, some of it may not. My point here is that you need to be open to letting go of a lot of beliefs. I mean, I've come to the point in my stage of growth where I really believe that most of the things that I believe, and I really stick to those beliefs, are really not that good for me. Because once you've decided on something and you're firm on it, you're not open to any other ideas. So my advice there is just be open. Be as open as you can. Don't be afraid to let go of things that do not resonate with your heart. It might have made sense to your mind, but remember now you're operating from a different system, okay? Here's one of the greatest things about being newly awakened is you all of a sudden recognize that in the 3D world that you were living in, all these things that existed in your life, such as fear and guilt and self-hatred or self-loathing and all this stuff, dissipates. You don't need it anymore. It's not part of you. It's part of the 3D world. You're moving into 4D and then eventually 5D, and you will keep continuing to expand. And all this 3D stuff doesn't mean anything anymore. So your job, I guess if you call it a job, is to let it all go. You've been carrying it long enough. Now it's time to move on to something a lot bigger and a lot better. One thing I want to also say is what you want to do now that you're moving out of 3D is ignore all the fear-based sort of advice. I know a lot of people say, oh, well, you can't advance and expand your consciousness unless you go through the dark night of the soul, and you've got to go through all your past traumas. You know, let me tell you, you've got to delve into that stuff as it comes up. You start meditating, stuff's going to come up, and you're going to think about it, and you're going to delve into it. But you're also going to recognize from that still point that that's not you anymore. You're a new person. You're moving forward. So how much of that stuff you want to deal with, that's up to you. But don't let anybody tell you that you're not going to move forward without digging into your past. Your past is kind of immaterial, just like the future is immaterial. Right now, you're living for now. You're living for this very moment. So anything that has to do with traumas forward or traumas backwards, my advice, let it all go. Oh my God, did he just say don't do the dark night of the soul thing? Yeah, I know, I probably alienated about half the spiritual community. But the bottom line for me is that most of my spiritual growth has been when I've been in service of others, not on myself and digging into my own stuff. It's more about taking what I find here inside and imparting it and helping change the world. That's the bottom line. I'm not going to do that if I'm stuck in myself and wallowing in my own misery. Well, those are some of my thoughts. I'd like to hear yours as well. If you are someone who is newly awakened, what are some of the things that you're experiencing? For those of you who have been doing this a while, if you have some tips or ideas that might be helpful for people, please leave them in the comment box. As always, pathofascension.org is available to anyone who wants to use it. A lot of services up there. And I just recently released a newsletter for May that has some information on new types and different types of meditation. If you're interested in that, go to my Linktree and subscribe, and I'll send you a May copy. Thanks again for watching. Y'all have an awesome now.